Welcome to episode 37 of the POG Show, the City of Port Orange News and Information Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Springer, Public Information Officer for the City of Port Orange. And today we are talking about hurricanes and what you can do to prepare your home before a hurricane. And if you were a victim of Hurricane Ian, what you can do to potentially help repair your home afterward. So today we have two guests in our studio. We have Valerie Duell with our Community Development Department, engineer. We also have Donna Butler with Volusia County's Office of Recovery and Resiliency to help talk about the county's Transform386 program. So welcome, ladies, for joining us.
Hi, good afternoon.
So it is late August, early September. We're coming on, so we're starting to get into that peak of our hurricane season here. And Valerie was hoping to talk to you about what should I do as a property owner? You know, it's hurricanes, getting to the peak of hurricane season right now. What should I do as a property owner? What are some things I should look for to help kind of protect my property from damage from storms?
Well, one of the things we often suggest that people do is look at the trees and the tree limbs that are close to their house and residence or their commercial building. And if they're seeing tree limbs or trees that need to be trimmed, to go ahead and get a tree removal permit from the city. And if you're hiring a contractor, make sure that they also have gotten their tree removal permit and that they're licensed and insured. And you can search for your address to make sure that your contractor has gotten the permit through the city's online permitting portal, which is at www.port-orange.org. And the permitting portal is under government and community development under building permits. But that is the best thing to do. Get your trees and limbs away from your property. If you have any drainage issues and you want to do any regrading in your on your property, you can get a minor engineering permit also through the SmartGov permitting portal. And when a storm is coming, we want to make sure that we're not placing leaves and branches in the inlets, because those tend to cause roads to flood more because the inlets and the pipes get blocked by all the leaves and debris. So please try and take care of your property and do some pre-planning for the trees, tree limbs, and any grading issues to move water away from your structure.
Do you know before a storm how much time I have that I can trim my trees? Is it a week out, 2 weeks out, or how far in advance?
I don't know the answer to that, but I would assume a week out, because the city isn't going to be picking up trees if there's a storm close by, and our personnel shouldn't be traveling the roads.
Yeah, because when those wind gusts get probably above, I'm looking over at Mick just to make sure I'm saying the right thing, but above that 39 mile an hour mark, it can get a little risky for waste pro to be out there. So that's why you don't want to have things piled outside, tree limbs, branches, and things like that could be potentially hazards out there if we have those storms.
There is an ordinance that if you put debris out directly before a storm, you can be fined.
So avoid those fines. And then, you'd also mention the importance of making sure that you get your permits, you hire somebody who's licensed and insured, because there's liability risk too if you don't do those steps. Correct?
Correct, yes. So definitely use licensed and insured contractors, and be careful when trying to do it by yourself. Some people might try and do it owner-builder permits, but there is the possibility that you could do it yourself without a contractor, but the permitting department can assist if you have any questions.
And when it comes to protecting your home itself, if I have homeowner's insurance, am I good? Do I need anything else, other coverage? Or
So homeowner's insurance is going to protect you from wind damage, and if you have the hurricane insurance added on. However, it's not going to protect you in case of any flooding. And as we've learned more recently from Hurricane Ian, we've had a lot of structures in the city of Port Orange, inside and outside the floodplain, that were flooded. So the best thing to do is to get flood insurance to protect your structure, in addition to the wind protection coverage from your homeowner's insurance until 30 days after it's been put into place. So please try and get your flood insurance at least 30 days in advance of when you're thinking you're going to need it.
Yeah, it's good because you're, like you said, it's 30 days out. So it's probably better to have it now than to have to wait till there's something coming off the coast and try and purchase it then, because it's going to take 30 days for that to kick in. So you want to have it, give yourself that peace of mind so you don't have to worry about, is it going to cover me for this storm that's coming up?
Yes.
And, do I need, if I'm not in a floodplain, should I still look at flood insurance?
Yes. We recommend that everybody in Port Orange consider getting flood insurance, even if it's not required because you're in a floodplain and you have a mortgage. If you've paid off your mortgage or you bought your house with cash, it's still a good idea to get flood insurance. If you're not in the floodplain, it's still a good idea to get flood insurance because floods can happen anywhere, and even an inch of water can cause $25,000 worth of damage based on the numbers that we've been seeing.
Is there a way for people out there to check to see if they are in a floodplain or?
Yes. So the easiest way is to go to the city's website, search for GIS maps, and you can find the flood map under the GIS maps is a good way to do it. You can also look at the FEMA Map Service Center in type station. So some structures in the city of Port Orange that are below the base flood elevation will not qualify for the 25% discount, but the majority of structures will.
All right. Anything else, Valerie, you think people should know about flood insurance or preparing their homes for hurricane season?
No. Thank you very much for having me.
All right. Well, we're going to transition a little bit now because we were talking about what you do to prepare your home before storms come our way. But now, what do you do afterwards if you have damage to your home, especially if you were one of those homeowners that we had just a couple of years ago with Hurricane Ian, still trying to recover, deal with that damage there? And thankfully, we have Donna Butler over here with Volusia County to kind of talk about the program they have going on right now, still taking applicants for Transform386. So, Donna, welcome, and appreciate you coming here.
Sure. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
And so tell us a little bit about 386. I know this is a program where we receive some funding through HUD, roughly about $329 million or so. And this is going to be used to help homeowners across Volusia County, not just Port Orange, but everywhere in Volusia County, make repairs to their home from Hurricane Ian.
Sure. So we got $328.9 million. We did a needs assessment. That was the public meetings that we had been talking about earlier, where we went around and talked to the community about what they thought was important. But we also got data from FEMA, data from cities about the damages that they were seeing. And so we came up with a budget. And $145 million is specifically for homeowner either rehabilitation, replacement, or reconstruction. So rehabilitation means if you've got less than $100,000 worth of damages, then we can assist you with that process. Reconstruction is when the home has to be completely replaced, whether it's in a floodplain or not. If it's in a floodplain, then we have to raise it to be 2 feet above that base flood elevation that Valerie was just talking about, which in some cases can be pretty high. And then a replacement is actually for mobile homes, and we can do a repair on a mobile home or we can replace the mobile home. So those are the three areas. We also can reimburse folks for work that's already done as long as it's completed prior to. One of the things that we're struggling with right now actually is homeowners. Part of the process is we have to send in contractors to do what's called a damage assessment. And they look at the damage repair that's already been done. So we're verifying the work that's already been done. And then we're making a cost estimate of work that still needs to be done. And that has to be done in concordance with our housing quality standards, HQS, we like to call it. We're kings and queens of acronyms over here in CDBG-DR land. So anyway, we have to look at all that. Those two combined can put us over that $100,000 cap. And a lot of people are saying, no, I don't want you to do those repairs. I just want to be reimbursed. So that can happen as long as there's not safe and sanitary housing issues that need to be worked on. So we're dealing with some of that right now, folks that don't want us to do any repairs or don't want their home replaced. A lot of folks we find have lived in their home and raised their families and had grandkids visiting, and they don't want a new home. Just fix what I've got. And in some cases we can do that. In some cases, when you're in that 100-year floodplain, we really can't. So they may be walking away from the program because they don't want a new home, and we can't force them to take a new home. So anyway, so $145 million is for the single family repair and replacement program. We're also getting ready to open up a rental repair program, which is reimbursement only. I believe it's up to $50,000 for landlords that agree to rent their homes to low-income families for 20 years. And then we also are getting ready to release about $50 million, though that's the total budget amount. It'll be done incrementally for new multifamily housing construction for low-income projects. So that's where we currently are on the housing program.
What are the requirements for somebody, if I want to apply for this program, what are some of the requirements I need to meet in order to be eligible to receive some of this funding?
The biggest program requirement is that you have to meet income eligibility. So it's 80% of area median income or below. You do get preference if you have one or the other of two different things. You can either have age folks, so ages 18 or below in your household, or older, over 65, I believe it is, and then or disabled. So you don't get to stack those. It's not, I've got children, I've got grandchildren, I'm elderly and disabled. You get one. So if you were the very low of income, which I believe is 30% or below, and you were elderly, then you're in priority 1. If you had the low income, but you weren't in one of the priority areas, you'd be number 2. And right now we are still working through priorities 1 and 2 in terms of income eligibility, but we're making enough progress that pretty soon we're going to be moving to the 3s and 4s, which is the next income level up.
Roughly how many applications have you received since this opened?
Yeah, so we've had about 1,200, a little bit more than 1,200. Quite a few of those were duplicates, and they were duplicates because we switched our system. We were trying to get ahead of the curve, and so we started taking applications in our county's built system. And then when we got our new system, people were automatically migrated over, but some folks were concerned they weren't in there, so they applied anyway. The new system doesn't allow you to submit 2 applications, but if you did those. So we currently, out of that 1,231 to be exact, have 546 that are active. That means they've continued to move through the process. And we actually had a whole bunch that have just recently applied. We've been putting door hangers out. We're getting ready to start a big postcard send out. So we anticipate getting more, but currently we have a little under half, 546 active cases. Some folks have just dropped out before they haven't wanted to move forward. Some folks are probably frustrated because it's not exactly easy to submit the paperwork, and technology can be challenging, as we were dealing with this afternoon, can be challenging for any of us, and it's a little bit harder for some of the folks that are older and aren't really accustomed to doing things online. But we meet folks in the libraries. Anytime they want to meet in the library, we'll go meet them. They can come to our office if they want. We will go to them if they prefer. If they're
if folks are interested in applying, how can they do that? Is it best to go through the website? Is there a number? What's the best way for them to?
So if they want to go through the website, it's Transform386.org. That's our website. Super easy. And then our phone number is 386-943-7029. They can call in. We'll be happy to set up an appointment to meet them at the library if they prefer, at their home if they need us to. We prefer to do it at the library because it's safe for everyone. But if they need someone to come to their home because they're home-ridden, then we'll get a team together and get out there and let them know in advance all the things that we need to take pictures of to get all their documents in.
And I know you mentioned earlier that some people can get a little bit frustrated with the process, but what is the timeline that people are looking at? If I submit my application today, am I looking at maybe 6 months to a year before I start getting funding to do the repairs, or what's kind of the timeline that a typical person would be looking at?
That's a good question, and I'm not sure that I can truly answer that question. We're moving much faster now than we were before. But right now, as soon as they get their documents in, the caseworkers are under the gun to move their case forward. And so they may actually get through eligibility and so forth. But with those 546, we currently have 279 that are awaiting damage assessments. We've done over 100 right now, that damage assessments. And so they're starting to move through to the next phase. They have to then determine which path they're going. Are they going to be rehabbed, reconstructed, replaced? We have to figure out that path. Then we have to get back with them. They have to decide that that's what they want to do. We've had numerous people decide that this just wasn't the right path for them.
Does it matter if you have home insurance or not, or both? So whether I had home insurance and maybe it didn't cover some of the repairs, or I don't have any insurance at all, I'm still potentially eligible to start applying for this program.
So one of the things immediately after a storm, I wish that I could get out my little bullhorn and say, please make sure that you've applied for your homeowner's insurance. You've gone back to FEMA. When FEMA rejects you, that you have applied again. FEMA will come back if needed. If you have NFIP, make sure you do that. Make sure you have all that documentation. Those funds, and the other piece of that, so then when you receive those funds, you can receive funds toward the repair or replacement of your home, and then you can get funds that actually take care of the contents. The contents is you can go ahead and spend this money here, put it in the bank and wait. Because you have to give those funds over to the county for this process. You don't get to just spend them in a different way. So very important information that, I don't know that we did the best job of saying, make sure you do that. And if you do spend money, keep receipts, have your permits available, have any contractor information available of all the work that you have done, so you have appropriate documentation so that when we come in. It's totally fine if you don't have any of those three things, but if you do, you have to account for them because we have to look it up in the systems. And if you said you didn't get FEMA money, we know that you have.
So that documentation is key, just to make sure you have everything taken care of before you even start going down that road for applying.
Yep. So we are the last funds in. If you receive private insurance, FEMA, NFIP, any other sources of funds, nonprofits, any sources of funds, all of that has to be taken into account first, and we fill the gap. And I think that's what a lot of people miss, is that we are the gap.
So it's not going to solve it all, but basically you're kind of there as that stopgap, that if maybe FEMA wasn't able to cover all that I needed, or my insurance, or through maybe some of the work with some of the local nonprofits here, I couldn't get it all done, Transform 386 will help kind of potentially fill that gap that I still have. There's still a need for those repairs to be covered.
Correct. And what some people, it's luckily a small enough amount of people, if they've done repair, but they still need more work and they haven't necessarily permitted it, or they are coming up on our threshold of our cap of $100,000, and or they might be getting close to FEMA's 50% substantially damaged. We are forced to tell them that they have to reconstruct. So they may have invested all this money in fixing their home and feel like they should be able to stay, and they can, but we can't fund that if they need to reconstruct. So that's a really tough conversation that sometimes we have to have. And again, like I said before, some folks don't want a new home. They have raised their family in these homes for 20, 30 years. And the last thing they want is to, in their mind, get rid of the memories that were so special to them.
And, is there any, I know you have that campaign you were talking about. There's a whole campaign you're about to launch, kind of let people know about the program. Tell us a little bit about that here.
So it's a twofold campaign right now. We're starting this week. The first city is Daytona Beach. They're going to get postcards. Anyone that applied for FEMA that is a homeowner that has not already applied, they're going to receive a postcard. They may not be eligible because we don't have access to what folks' income is, but we want to make sure that if they thought that there was a chance, we're putting the income information right on the postcard. It's a nice size postcard. They can't miss it. It's in our trendy colors that we have of royal blue, yellow, and green, that they know that they still can apply. We're also going out in the neighborhoods as we're doing a damage assessment and going up and down the streets and putting door hangers on, knocking on doors if people are there to let them know about the program. I'm still surprised that people don't know, but no matter how good a job we've done, there's still people that aren't going to know. It was actually in the Port Orange Library that somebody came up to me and yelled at me, and he was exactly right. I said, well, I've done this. We've done press releases. We've done this. We've done that. And he's like, no, that doesn't work. Not everybody gets on social media. Not everybody reads a newspaper. You're missing it. And at first, for a little bit, I was offended, and then I was like, you're exactly right. We kind of need to go old school in a way. We can do all those techie things, but we've got to go old school and make sure that we're reaching out. So that's what we're trying to do with the postcards and the door hangers. We've done other things all the things that we can think of. We've sent letters, but let's try it again. See if we can. I know that there's more people out there because they keep coming in the door. A lot of people were also afraid.
And, hopefully now that they're learning a little bit more about the program, those fears can kind of be put aside and they can kind of feel a little bit more reassured about what they're getting into. But if you don't mind, Donna, just give them the website and the number one more time for
Sure.
people who are listening in case they have questions or if they want to apply.
Sure. It's www.transform386.org. And then our phone number is 386-943-7029.
And is there anything else you want to get out to people listening right there that you think they should know about the program?
If they have questions, if they're wondering what their status is, they can reach out to their project coordinator, case manager, and ask them if they want to send an email into Transform386. They can do that as well. All of that is directly available on our website. They can call us. They can come to DeLand and see us, whatever would make their lives a little easier, and we'll be happy to come see them too.
So you guys are there the whole way, that if they have questions, need help, they're not in the dark.
Absolutely.
They have people there that can guide them along with the process and let them know where they are, where their application stands to help.
Yes.
Appreciate it. Thank you, ladies, both for joining us. Appreciate the valuable information you were able to share with us today. And Mick, take us on out.